Good evening, everybody. I'm Go Beer Go Home, and welcome to Rail Talk Live. Every Saturday, we show up, we work on some kits, maybe the layouts, a little bit of both. Today, I'm going to work on a kit, and as you can see to the title there, paper or plastic. This is part 2 of the paper mill that I'm kind of bringing back to life, giving it a new life. I had originally done this kit, I want to say three or 4 years ago, maybe even longer. It was like 2 houses ago, so 2 layouts ago, and so I wanted to use it on my current layout, and because I didn't use it on my last one, there was no need for me to do anything with it. So now I'm just kind of repurposing it, giving it new life, and adding detail and whatnot to it, so that when I put it on the layout or when I add it to it, it'll look a lot better than what it did. Sometimes we do that. We'll go back. We'll change the color of something. We'll redo it, or even just adding a little bit more detail as more detail parts become available. I know that 3D printing is pretty big, so or it's getting there, and the options to be able to add certain things, it's getting really good. So, but before we get into that, before I get started, I do want to say hi to everybody that did take the time to show up, and just want to say hi to everybody. So we've got Brian Ferguson. Brian gets the Timbits tonight. Thanks for joining us. Then we've got Almar and Trains by Perry. How's it going, Perry? Ronald and Todd. How's it going, Todd? Floyd. How's it going, Floyd? And Bubs 031 and Darren. How's it going, Darren? Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Awesome Possum. And we've got John Train BFGR. Hello. And Anthony. How's it going, Anthony? As more people are getting the notification that we are live, I'm sure they'll pile in. Just like Dundas Junction Model Railroad. How's it going, James? James. All right. So yeah, like I said, we started this paper mill revamp. We'll call it a revamp. East Coast. I started it last week, and I'm going to show you what I've done, because I did a bit off camera, and I just want to be able to show you a bit of an update with it. So originally, I only got like this much done, and it really bothered me having one little, because that took a while to do. I use about 3 or 4 different colors on here, going through and doing all the little bricks, and you can kind of see it. I know the bright brick really stands out. This lighting doesn't really do it justice, but let me see if I can turn this light up a bit here. I know there's going to be a bit of a glare, only a bit. I don't need it that bright. There we go. Okay. So this is kind of what I've been working on here, and you'll see I have some sidewalk here. It's half done, and I've got these cutout sections. I'm going to show you why that is. Got these loading and unloading racks from Walthers, and I thought it would be kind of cool. It just kind of sits in there, right? They're on their own little platform. But once I get the rest of this done along here, and then the track, this isn't the track, but the track is over on the layout. The track's going to run right up against this right here like this. And then the cars will come up here, and you can load or unload the chemicals as needed. I was also thinking of adding somewhat of a tank as well. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but then we're going to have some piping coming up as well, and maybe some piping along the wall there or something, just to kind of add a bit more detail to it. One of the other things that I added was this nifty racing stripe here. Basically, there's two separate walls, and it makes an ugly joint right down the middle. Same thing up here as well. So I just took a very thin piece of styrene and I put it right up just to kind of cover that joint, and it looks sharp and, you know, adds a bit more detail. It didn't come with the kit, but yeah, I think it adds a bit of a nice feature to it. And of course, this roof piece here, I added what the kids are calling grip tape, but it's basically just sandpaper on one side and sticky on the other. So I stuck it down to the flat plastic roof, and then I glued the piece in place. And it'll look fine once I put little vents and whatnot on top of it. Should hold all right. One of the other things that I did add, and I didn't do it when I was on camera, I'm going to have to flip this thing upside down here just to show you. So I'm going to take these off and kind of set them here so that they're not out of order. Okay, so I had mentioned how I wanted this building to be a bit stronger. So what I did was I added masonite. I added a piece of masonite to the bottom here, and it's glued down. It's glued to the bottom, and I added another strip here. The train track goes right through here, and it's going to be flat on the actual layout. So this misses it. It's not going to do anything. Once I put ballast down, you won't see a thing. And then if I need to take this to the next house or whatever, if I have to move again, then this will be a lot stronger because it's on a solid foundation base. And yeah. So what I plan on doing today, besides getting some of these pieces here painted, I do want to do a bit more of the brickwork on here as well. And yeah, I'm gonna do the big section here so you guys can see me do that. Anthony wants to know if I want to get the Walther's corn syrup facility. I'm thinking about it, strictly for the fact that if I end up doing my my Chapman's ice cream or chocolate factory, if I end up using that on this layout, there's a lot of parts on that I would consider using with the rest of it. So the answer is yes, I would like to get that kit. Denny from N-Scale Dystopia, how's it going, Denny? You'll be able to catch Denny January, I want to say it's the 2nd, January 2nd. Checking my calendar here. Yes, because he's the first Thursday in the month, so he'll be live for Third Rail Thursday. If you don't already follow him, give him a follow. So I know last time I was using my paintbrush. Using a paintbrush doing this is okay, but my fine detail brush has definitely seen better days. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this a little bit old school. I'm going to use a toothpick, and I'm going to try and not ruin anything. It'll be tough, but we'll see what happens. For some reason, it's again with these colors, it's not super bright, but once it dries, when you look at it really closely, they you can see all the little colors. The camera doesn't really do it justice, if I'm being honest. Hey John, how's it going? What is everybody else working on? I can't be the only one working on something here tonight. And I hope everybody's ready for Christmas, because that's not too far off now. Let's see, today's the 14th. So, yeah. Tomorrow it's 10 days. The Christmas shopping thing is crazy right now. I was out today, but I didn't have to go to any malls, so that's good. Try to avoid those, but all the lines for the malls to get into the malls were pretty crazy. Denny is laying track. Oh, that's fun. I love laying track. LGRFBS, how's it going? Hello, Sweden. Brian is putting up lights in his yard building. Cool. Still working on my static racetrack. Cool. Watching a James Bond fest as well as you. Well, I'm no Sean Connery, but the day is mine. Bond, James Bond. I'm renovating structures I built over 30 years ago. I don't plan on using them on my new layout, but like old friends, they need some love. Yeah, I feel that. I've been that's kind of where I'm at right now with this kit because of the whole, trying to. It was red and white. You know what I mean? It's just the red is a nice red. I like that red. But it's not really realistic. There's no depth to it. There's no, you know what I mean? When was the last time you seen a brick house where every single brick was the exact same red, you know? Also, over the years, you tend to learn new tricks and whatnot. And, you'll have a kit that you'd worked on, and then you're like, well, I can apply this new trick that I've learned or this new skill. And you just kind of pick that kit back up and you give it a new look, but using some of the techniques that you learned along the way. Sort of like girlfriends. Well, I don't know about that. I haven't learned nothing. I'm working on the transfer of vapor between the wet floor and the dry layout divided among the airflow. Sounds like a flood. Is it a flood? Do you have a flood? Building a fine scale miniatures craftsman kit. Nice. For those craftsman kits, is there one that you would recommend? I haven't done a craftsman kit. And James is planning out his town scene. That's cool. That's where all the kits come into play. All the downtown buildings and sidewalks, and all the lighting. Yeah, I love doing all that stuff. That's the fun stuff. Industries are okay. Depending on which industry you're doing, some are a little bit more on the boring side than others. But, if you can find a way to kind of make it more interesting to look at, then you've definitely done a good job. Okay, I've got a series of questions for you guys, and we're going to learn a bit about each other tonight while I'm doing this. And feel free to answer. If you don't have an answer, that's cool. But all the questions are basically going to be railroad related. It's not a quiz. It's more of like a personal preference. I just want to know what you guys think. For example, you can write it in the chat if you're playing along here. By the way, there's no points, then no one's actually going to win. So there's no real right or wrong answer here. So let's start with railroads. What is the major railroad that you guys are modeling right now? What's the major one on your layout, or the one that you're basing your layout off of? I won't ask the next question until I see some answers. And of course, if you don't have a layout, that's fine. You might still collect a certain road name, which is cool too. But in most cases, I find that people they lean towards one specific road name. We've got BN and CP. We've got New Jersey Transit, UP and BNSF. What I like to see, so a little bit of everything. Canadian National, THB, CN, Northern Alberta Railway, CP, NS. I don't have an era. That's okay. THB, right on. Conrail, absolutely. Central Ontario Rail, that's cool. Northeast Corridor from NYC to Shore Points, New Jersey Transit, Conrail, Amtrak, a little bit of everything there. B&O. That's cool. Because I always find that everybody always has a different answer, right? And it might not even be like well, I find that a lot of people will say like a class one railroad, like the CNs, CPs, UPs, but it's all the other ones like New Jersey Transit. Like that's, I don't know about you guys. I mean, it might be because you're American, but I don't hear a lot about New Jersey Transit other than Anthony. But in general, yeah, I don't see a lot of it. So it's neat when somebody mentions something like that. And the last time I bought B&O, I was playing Monopoly. So CN and OSR. Yeah, OSR is cool too. Next question. What is the one railroad that you don't have that you've considered, but you just haven't made that jump? You haven't got any of those locomotives yet. What is the one? What is the one railroad that you've been kind of like, if I changed, I'd probably go with this one? Like I primarily do Canadian railroads, CN obviously for freight, and then I've got my passenger and commuter stuff as well. But I've often mentioned that I've been a big fan of Norfolk Southern. I don't know if it's just because it's just like the plain black and white, and I'm like into that. They've got a lot of big locomotives too. Very simple logo. It's not too flashy, right? Union Pacific for James. GATX for Almar. Ontario Northland for Awesome Possum. ONR locos, but I have a few cars. Yeah. ONR for Perry. Yeah, ONR is great. Their roster is really building. I just wish that more companies would do a lot of their smaller locomotives, like the GP38s and GP9s. Otherwise, I'd still be doing it. But I mean, they've got the ST40s and ST70Ms and whatnot, which are cool. Can't go wrong there. I do like the smaller railroads as well, like the TH&B and ONR, OSR. Even though it's not in my neck of the woods, it's still in my province. So, it's close enough. The best thing about New Jersey is that we get most roads here. So I purchased CPKC and CN to add to the roster. Yeah, that works. That works. It was a very short stint as well that I did CP. I only had a couple of CP locos. But if you're going to have a CP loco, it better be a red barn because those are really cool. I'm excited for Brendan to get his ecos when those come out from Prairie Shadows. Okay, so as far as an industry, because we all collect rolling stock, usually that rolling stock services an industry, and at least it should. What is the main piece of rolling stock or industry that you like to use or that you focus on? I think the most popular would have to be either intermodal or auto racks. Auto racks are expensive though, but that's what I think. I do love ethanol though. Ethanol is in, either tank cars or grain cars, just the whole process. It's probably my favorite, but I want to know what you guys think. Dan says passenger, which does count because passengers in industry. I enjoy my passenger trains as well. Box cars and tanks. Thanks for answering. And then James says box cars are his favorite. I think there's something, and it might just be me. So I mean, let me know if you agree. There's something mesmerizing about a whole slew of box cars, all roughly about the same shape and size, weaving through the tracks there, all in unison, all going together. It's just you can't help but stare. Let's see. I have a large open pit. Steel, 4 foundries in a half mile on my prototype. Refinery, plastics, millwork, steel, covered hoppers, coal hoppers, lots and lots of coal hoppers. NS1903, how's it going? Mike HO Trains, how's it going? Now, question for you, NS1903. Do you have what do they call them? It's like a coal wash station on your layout. I don't know if you have a layout, and it's basically the train will pull the coal cars through what looks like a car wash, and what it does is it soaks the top of the coals, and I'm pretty sure it's either so they don't go flying out or they don't catch fire, something like that. Either one. But I'm wondering if you have something like that on your layout. Oh, the dust down. Yeah, I knew it had to be something like that. Coal dust. I wonder, do they do that with other things as well, or is it just coal? Not yet. For our passenger guys, the guys that like doing passenger cars, do you have a passenger washing station? Something to rinse off the cars, not literally, but I have a few industries: refrigerator and tank cars, grain hoppers. I have Tropicana plant, Budweiser, Nestle, a little bit of everything. Fueling station. Absolutely. I think a fueling station is one of the major ones. I think everybody should have a fueling station. For the cars of the passengers. Well, some of them need a hose down first before they get on there. But yeah, no, mostly just for the cars. So I think, is it Keebri? It might be Keebri. They have a passenger train washing station, passenger car train wash station, I should say. And yeah. Oh, is it Faller? Okay, yeah. I thought it was either Keebri or Faller, and turns out if it is Faller, it's Faller. Amtrak washer is in the station agent here in Minneapolis. Cool. James says that the Go cars are due very, very soon. Yep. Oh, yeah. Guten Tag, Big CW. How's it going? Yeah, it was actually Chris that showed me the car wash station. Seen it on the Walthers website because they sell other products that aren't Walthers as well. Thinking about it. I'm still thinking about it. I'd have to have a place for it, which I probably do, but we'll see. Working on a fueling station with the new DEF fluid as well, and sand tower delivery system, compressed air to service the locos. Cool. John says, while riding the Canadian last month, when they refueled the train, a team was the window for us. Huh. Neat. Yeah, we hope to see the layout soon, Floyd. That'd be cool. It's always fun to share. See, even if I add a train wash station, though, I have to get a kit and build a kit as a building, and then I have to put the train wash station on the inside of the building, because that's how it is for us. I'm not sure if you guys have yours as an outside station or what, but ours is an indoor one. Here's the next question, and it's a super easy one. Not too much thought here into this one, but I'm just curious. N scale, HO scale, Z scale, what do you guys model? I prefer HO. My eyes prefer HO. I've tried N scale, and honestly, it's too small for my hands and my eyes. Can't do it, unfortunately. I like the idea of being able to add, way more. Denny says duh, but I think it's because he's been hiding his Z scale dystopia on us all. He says it's N scale, but I'm pretty sure it's Z. Because it looks very, very small. HO for show. HO scale all the way, sir. HO, but also N scale. HO, eyes can't handle. I hear you, Steve. I hear you. I was waiting for somebody to give me some, some random one, like O scale. Or one of those really obscure ones. But again, no wrong answer. We don't discriminate here. I like to give my N scale friends a hard time, though. But it's all fun. Yeah, Chris with the FFS. I understand, my friend. It happens. But it's like, it's so small, They have come a long way, though. I find that a lot of the N scale stuff that's coming out today, it's really, really good, and it's almost on the same level as HO as far as detail and whatnot. And it's obviously much smaller, but I think it looks really good. I used to need a magnifier to see what I was painting. Now I need a magnifier to find the brush. Is that the paper plant? Yes, Russ. How's it going, by the way? This is part 2. I've been working on this for this is the second week now, and I'm trying to bring this thing back to life. You can kind of see how it was previously, where it was just red, and then in here I've got about 3 or 4 different colors of brick. The light and the camera don't really do it justice, but yeah, this is one part of the paper plant here. I'm even adding some sidewalk along the side here. I made sure to have the whatchamacallit, fascia board. What do I call it? Masonite. There we go. I made sure to have the masonite stick out a bit so I can put my unloading racks on the side here. But yeah, I got to do some sidewalk along the side. And then out the front, I've got bigger squares that look like this. And you can kind of see the cracks too. I did little cracks in the concrete there. Might change the color of this one, or maybe even these as well. I want to do a bit of a more of a worn out concrete color as opposed to a new looking concrete color. So I gotta get to the hobby shop and see if I can find a different color maybe. There we go. But yeah, I've got what is it? 4? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I've got about 4 different buildings for my paper mill, and I want to do one at a time here and just kind of give it new life and make it look much better. Add some detail and whatnot to them. I don't have all day work on something. I wish I had, an 8-hour day where instead of, taking phone calls and whatnot, I could just work on kits and stuff. Unfortunately, it's not always the case. So I get to do some stuff while I'm working in between calls, but most of the time I have to wait until I've got time like this where I can sit here, and I might as well do it live because that way I can talk with you guys while I do that. There's not too much to see as far as the inside, Anthony. So I probably won't do too much. I could probably put a light in here, which will reflect light through here, and that's about it. Maybe out the front as well. But yeah, again, you don't really see too much on the inside, so I didn't really make it a priority with this kit. I'd like to add some lights on the outside. And I was even thinking of putting, so I'm going to show you. So this is the rack here, or one of them. So I've got 2 of these, and I wanted to put a roof piece that comes out like that over top of it. Just a, little slanted roof. Either over both or something. But add, piping to the outside as far as detail. If I did have a roof part over this, then I'd want to put a light under that as well. I have to check my spare parts, my bits box, if you will. Do you guys keep a bits box? And if nobody knows what I'm talking about as far as bits boxes, basically when you get kits, you get so many extra pieces. So you just save whatever you don't use, and especially if you do a lot of custom kits, right? You don't use all the kits, all the parts that it comes with. You only use some. You don't throw out the other ones. You save them. Save them for a rainy day. James has one. Floyd has one. Anthony says the parts come in handy. Do they ever? We got a chance to see Mark's Bitbox a couple of weeks ago when he did his live, and he had like 50 forklifts for some reason. I don't know why the guy's harboring all these forklifts, but he might have a problem, guys. Might have to help him out, start a support group or something for Forklifts Anonymous. Probably. Because that's a lot of forklifts for one guy to have, I worry about it. Floyd has bits boxes. Chris says, yes, but it's a big Ziploc. I also keep strange cutoffs, flash, broken parts in a cup to use for scrap piles. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. John, I think we've seen you on Hoarders. Like I keep everything. Forklift intervention. Yeah. Where we will lift him up and let him know that he doesn't need to have so many forklifts. I can see the irony there with the whole, lifting him up thing. But yeah. Yeah, Anthony, I've bought kits, and I got wall sections in my kits that had nothing to do with the kit at all. And I'm like, okay, so I can make this a background flat for something else, which I thought was kind of cool. And sometimes when I use when I make a background building, I only use 3 out of the 4 walls as well. So I end up saving a lot of parts. The three kits that I put together, the three diesel shops, I have so much clear plastic now that used to be like they would have been the windows for the inside of it, but I never added that, so I've got so many extra clear window bits. Russ keeps an extra Walther's box full of parts. I got it. Do you guys want to see my bits box? You know, it sounds like a personal question. That's my bits drawer. So I've got this one is full. See what I mean? A full. Yeah. I've got like roof pieces. I've got what's this from? You could literally dig through this thing and make a whole city probably. I've got so much extra stuff. Oh, these are all my abutments. Oh. I've got fence parts, tanks, berms. Yeah, one day I'll go through that and sort it out, but not today. That's too much of a commitment right now. But yeah, it's just it's a Tupperware drawer set, and I keep that under my desk now because if it's anywhere else and I need it, then I gotta go looking for it. Also, it's a good place to keep pieces of styrene as well, right? Like all your extra styrene for scratch builds. I don't do the scratch builds so much as I do kit bash stuff. I really like the ladders and whatnot. I have so many ladders and those with the cage as well that goes up the ladder. I've got a bunch of those. I try to keep a lot of them together, but it's tough. If anybody is ever looking for something specific, let me know. If I can find it, then all the more to you. But yeah, it's honestly a treasure chest. I've got lots of those, the smokestacks. So many of those. What manufacturers models do you mainly use to model your area of Sweden? The one Walther's kit that's coming out is the safety rail. Yeah, I like that thing. That thing's cool. That there's a cool looking conveyor belt too. The loading conveyor belt. That looks pretty cool. I really want them to redo the ethanol plant though. I already have all the kits, but they should really bring that back. They brought back the steel mill, so I don't see why they don't bring that back. Yeah, when I look at a building that, like, when they, let's say, for example, Walters, I look at the picture on the front of the box and I'm like, how can I change it so it doesn't look like that? Some of them I'll do standard, but sometimes I'll look at a kit and say, you know what I could do with that? Or if I'm looking at a specific building in real time, I'll say, you know who has a building that looks kind of like that? Or if I take this building and combine them, probably make something similar to that. Cut a kit in half and made two background buildings. Yeah, I think James did put up a video of that. James, if you've got the link to that video, go ahead and throw it up in the chat there. Also, if Chris is still in the chat, Big CW, who I always forget. I'm pretty sure it's Faller, but who made that amazing train station kit that you have that I always, compliment you on, because you got that and then you did some nice work with that, because that is a cool looking train station. Expensive though. I think it was like what, 250 Canadian for that kit. Okay, next question, because we're on a roll with these questions. You guys seem to like the questions. In your opinion, okay, yeah, there we go. Faller Horum Station. Yeah, and Chris, you have a video on that kit, right? It was such a cool kit. Okay, in everybody's opinion, what is the number one brand that you purchase? So, like, most of your product, if you look through your boxes, and let's do it in two separate. So we'll do locomotives first, because it's a huge toss up sometimes with companies. So if I was to look at all of your locomotive boxes, what would be the one that I would see the most? What brand is your locomotive brand? Steve says Rapido. Todd says Rapido. I'm pretty sure for me it's Rapido. Rapido and Intermountain. Intermountain for freight and Rapido for passenger, I think. What else we have? Scale Trains and Rapido. James has them all. But James, there must be one that sticks out more than the others. We're not playing favorites. It's just whichever one you have the most. And Chris's are a dime a dozen, and we all like Rapido and Intermountain. John says Proto 1000 and Rapido. Almar likes Broadway Limited, but open to try others. James, come on now. Okay, James, do you have a favorite then? If you've got a little bit of everything, you got to have a favorite. Bachman. Okay, yeah, Bachman. Okay, so that's locomotives. And I think everybody is very across the board. I'm surprised nobody said Bowser. Oh my gosh. I know, even for me, I only have a couple of Bowser. But it's like, yeah, when I look big picture wise, Rapido is probably the one I have the most. Larry, how's it going? Atlas as well. Atlas, yeah, I could see that. Got a few Atlas myself. A couple of Athearn. I don't really buy a lot of Athearn. I try to avoid it unless, like, I know it's not going to be available by anybody else. Okay, what about rolling stock? If I was to look at all of your rolling stock, what's going to be the brand that sticks out? And this is for you passenger guys, you freight guys. Rolling stock. What is the rolling stock that I would see the most in your collection? When I look at mine, it's like right now it seems like a tie. If I'm being honest, it's like right across the board. It's very even with things. So Chris, Big CW, he likes Atlas and Walthers for freight, Rapido passenger, aside from venture cars. And then we've got James saying Atlas and Rapido. Lloyd says Athearn and Cato. Anthony says Rapido for doing a lot. He commends Rapido for doing a lot of his New Jersey transit. Steve says P2K and Rapido. Almar says AccuRail or whatever. Maybe some Blue Box stuff. Blue Box stuff is good. Scale Trains and Athearn from Russ there. Yeah, like when I look at like my passenger stuff, it's all Rapido because they do, the Go Transit stuff, which I love, and there's more on the way. They've got all the Via Rail stuff, except for Bachman, which did the Charger set, but that's only one set, right? That's only 4 cars, so I can't really, compare it to the other stuff. But when I look at my freight, and it's strictly just based off of the industries that I do. So I've got so much Walther stuff. I've got a lot of the Walthers. And I think it's because it rolls really well. It's not that expensive, and I love the couplers. But as well, I've got the PWRS stuff, and I've got some Rapido stuff. I got like all the ore cars are Rapido. And then I've got a bunch of the Otter Valley rolling stock as well, because they make some great stuff. I do want to get more Aurora miniatures rolling stock. I love their box cars. Yeah, you know, and then sprinkle in some Atlas and whatnot, and yeah, you've got a good good setup. Old yellow box Atlas are Kato drives. Yes, yeah, the old Atlas locomotives. Rapido's marketing is so great; they've convinced us all that they are the best. I mean, possibly, quite possibly. Aurora Miniatures, Class 1, Rapido, NARC, Prairie Shadows, Otter Valley, and some Athearn Genesis True Line trains. Yeah, if you've got some old True Line train stuff, I mean, that's, you know, a lot of that has moved on to Atlas now, but yeah, they had a lot of really good pieces of rolling stock. Their bulkheads were really nice, and they have a lot of really nice cabooses, whatever you want to call them. Canadian Millers. Yeah, so Aurora Miniatures, they make a lot of the stuff I like. Same thing with NARC, North American Railcar. Prairie Shadows, I've seen a couple of things that they are making or they've made that I would be interested in. Whatchamacallit? What are they called? What's that one company? Oh, it escaped me. Oh well, I'll remember later. Yeah, the Otter Valley stuff. I really, really enjoy my pipe cars. I've got a whole bunch, and I need to get more. I would like to add a pipe facility on the layout. Class 1 makes great cars. PWRS is their stuff is up there, quality and whatnot. I've got a bunch of their cylindricals. I like my cylindrical hoppers as well. I think it's another one of my favorite types of cars. Now, are you guys, next question, steam or diesel? Steam or diesel? I know it's usually based off your era and what you can run, right? I mean, personally, I love a decent steam locomotive, but because it's not the era that I run, I don't really bother. Even though, you know, my layout, my rules, that's just how it is. I like to make it make sense, you know. Steve says both. Almar says both, but prefers steam. James runs special steam locomotives. So Not specifically steam locomotives, but he does run special ones. Russ says, Walther's Atlas, Bachmann are sprinkled into my rolling stock, but not the majority. Chris says, I would like a nice steam switcher just for fun. I've been wanting a decent steam locomotive that I can run, but I also want to just put it on the siding. Like, you know how they do that with retired caboose or steam locomotive in some towns, railroad museum type stuff. I wouldn't mind adding something like to the layout, but also take it off and run it whenever I want, But it would have to be a nice steam locomotive that kind of goes, fits with what I'm doing. Steam, diesel, and electric. Diesel, preferably. Alco. Alcos are nice. GP9 and GP7. Chris, will you emphasize more on passenger service than freight on this layout? I thought about that a little bit, Anthony, and it's one of those things where I'm always back and forth on, because I try not to focus on one thing. I try to, do a couple of different things. That way I never get bored, basically, and there's always something to do. I'd like to be able to put a passenger train on and then just have that running loops. And then I come back and I can run a freight, and I just have to watch out for passenger. Or do it the other way where I put a freight on and that's running the layout, and then I have to navigate with a passenger train. That way it's kind of giving you a bit of a challenge as well. Really depends on how you do it. But with the fact that I've got a whole maintenance facility right now based off of my passenger service, and I plan on having a couple of stations throughout, I'm not focusing on passenger because I love my passenger stuff, but I'm also adding a lot of different little industries as well so that I can do some switching, try to do some local switching, run some big trains still. Hey, Robin, how's it going? Trackside Mike, how's it going? Mike, you missed all my questions. I've been asking a million questions. We talked about everybody's preference with road names and rolling stock. Everybody shared their scale. What questions? A million questions. All the questions. I wanted to know about everybody else today. So I've been asking everybody who's watching. Okay, so here's one for you guys. Is anybody modeling something that goes over a border? Let's say you model from like Canada to the US, or the US to Mexico, something like that. Do any of you model something like that? Or is it very local? I think they're doing a garage sale here. Ron says he has to cross the border if he wants to use all of his U.S. and Canadian cabooses. Ah, neat. Mine is loosely based in lower BC, I guess. Okay. I don't know. It was a bit of an odd question, right? Like when you're modeling a specific area, I guess. But for that, you probably have to have a layout. I know not everybody has a layout, but that's okay. Okay, everybody's scale, or sorry, not scale, code and brand of track. So, for example, right now, and it's something I'm liking already. I did the Code 83 Pico, but I'm really liking this Code 100 Pico. So my answer would be Code 100 Pico as my new favorite. But some people do the Bachmann Flex, or not Bachmann Flex, the Snap, Atlas Snap, or some other stuff. So what is everybody's track and code of choice? Atlas Code 100. I've used Atlas Code 100 before as well. Gets the job done. HO Scale Pico Code 83 for Todd. Mike says at the club they're running 100 switches. 83. Okay, so the Code 100 switches or Code 100 Flex and switches are Code 83. Getting back on track with Steve. How's it going? First layout ever. Atlas Code 83. Mike is Code 100 at home. I think he uses the Pico as well. Track is Code 100. Switches are Code 83. Oh, okay. Floyd says his is Code 83 Atlas with Pico INSO switches. Oh, okay. Right on. That was going to be my next question. Insulated, uni, or electro? How do you like your frogs? How do you guys prefer your frogs? I've looked at electro frogs, and I'm like, honestly, it only makes sense if I'm using whatchamacallit, tortoise switch machines. At least that's how I look at it. Because you can connect the frog right to the switch machine. Cody 3, no power to my frogs. Inso for Ronald. Got me on that one. Fried with salt and pepper. Gross. I run Pico and Walther switches and Atlas Flex Track, code 83 main, code 70 for yards. Yeah, see, that makes sense. See, like I've heard of people using code 70 for some sidings as well, like industry sidings. I wanted to do code 100 on main, 83 on sides, and then 70 for like industry, like small industry tracks. But it's like, I can't be bothered right now anyways. I just want to run trains, you know? I run Pico and Walther switches and Atlas Flex Track code 83 main, code 74. Oh, yeah, okay, I just read that. Sorry, Anthony. I have to make that decision on my new layout, but I'm using hand throws and code 83. Yeah, I find that depending on the stuff that you're running, if you find that a lot of your stuff has like a bigger flange to it, you know, they call them the pizza cutters, go with a code 100 because it's like it's almost like cheating. It's you just get a better rail for stuff to sit on. I'm yet to ballast this Pico code 100, but I feel like it's going to be a lot easier than the code 83 that I had on my last layout. Although I didn't have too much of a problem with the ballast. It's just a pain. Walther's track. Yeah, James is like the only one that uses the Walther's track and turnouts. Does anybody besides James use the Walther's track and turnouts? Not that there's a problem with that. I'm just wondering if anybody else does. James seems to like it. I don't really like the price of it, but that's just me. Todd says, whatever OVR is selling, I buy turnouts when I need them, and whatever arrives in the mailbox, I wire it up as per instructions, and it seems to work okay. Yeah, I imagine that, code and scale doesn't matter too much. You just do what you would normally do, and it should work. But people always have a preference, it's the whole Ford versus GM versus whatever, Chevrolet something, and everybody, like I like to hear what everybody else is using because, just curious. Very curious I am. And the cool thing about this is that there really is no wrong answer, right? Nothing wrong with Atlas Track. It works fine. I used it for years. I'm very old school in that way where I grew up on the Atlas Track and code 100. So that's what I gravitated to when I started doing the whole train thing again. Walthers versus Pico. Oof. Well, Pico for price. Walthers said that they were going to get lots of different crossings in and different switches as well. Like they were going to build up a whole library of parts that you could get. Anthony says Pico and Walthers switch machines. Robin says Toyota, which, I mean, come on now. If Anthony Dodge was here, he'd say Dodge, and I would agree with him. Mike says Pico switches and Atlas Flex track and Pico track for straight areas. James says no Pico track. Mike says Chevrolet. Mike, you need to sit down. Todd says, yeah, true. I prefer Electra Frog, but I will buy Insel Frog if that's what's in stock. Do you find there to be much of a difference besides the fact that obviously one has power and one doesn't? Like, do you find that if you have a problem switch, it's going to be the Insel Frog over the Electro Frog, or is Electro Frog's very, tough to work with? Like, I know you said you're fine with both, but is there one that you prefer? Brian says Pico Code 83 track and turnouts. All turnouts have MP1 switch machines. MP1. I don't know what MP1 is. I've never heard of MP1. Okay, well let's do that then. Okay, so as far as throwing those switches, are you guys using the Caboose Industries? Are you using the Walther switch machines? Are you using Tortoise switch machines? How are you throwing your switches? That's our next question. How do we throw our switches? Frog machines, Arduino, manual, Caboose Industries, Caboose and Walthers, Tortoise, ME Flex is not really Flex, I have been told. Hand throws, manual, yeah. So, because again, I feel like we're divided with this, but at the same time, like I understand, the concept of, doing, the switch machine versus a hand throw. But at the same time, the guys that do the hand throw, it's just, is it easier or is it more of I like the hands-on approach? Because for me, I'll do, like on the main, do a switch machine. And then for the industries and the sidings, I'll do the hand throw just because I feel like it's more, it's like the real thing. Because most of the main lines, if you're dealing with those bigger railroads, they all switch automatically, like from their systems, right? Somebody doesn't go out there and throw it. But with sidings, a lot of sidings just have the switch stand, and guy will go and they'll unlock it and he'll throw it, wait for the train to go through, and then he'll throw it again to close it. Blue point. My hands would destroy scenery, so I use machines everywhere. I don't like to needlessly complicate things. I watch from Burr, Stewart, and all our manual ground throws. Time for me to bow out. Aw. All right, Floyd. Thanks for joining the discussion tonight. Yeah, again, nothing wrong with switch machines, or doing it by hand. I like simulating it by doing it by hand. Um, it just adds something else to the whole experience of doing it look just like the real thing. But I still like the Walther switch machines. And for those of you who use tortoises, did you know, just in case you find that the tortoise switch machine is a better quality, you can get a connector to connect to your tortoise switch machine, and it's from Walther's, and then you can add your push buttons to that. So that's kind of cool. Yard is all manual. I like the interlocking switch idea of using a key for a remote turnout on the main line. What are you doing, Chris? I see your hand going and coming back. It's the lighting. I'm painting with my toothpick here. You see all those little bricks that I'm kind of doing here? I know, sorry, it's the light reflecting. So it looks like I'm not doing anything, but I totally am, I promise you. I'm getting paint off of my little thing here, and then I go in and I add little bricks. Well, they're already bricks. I'm just changing the color on them. So let's see. I have mobility issues, so I can't move around the layout easily. So switch machines are a big help for me going forward. Yeah, that's very helpful, right? For those areas that you can't really reach. And then there's some people who sit, like they set up a desk where they can control everything right from the computer as well. They automate everything, and they watch everything on the screens, right? Because they might have little cameras throughout. There, now you guys can see what I see. Here's the next question, because it did kind of come up there. With the way that DCC is now, a lot of people have the option for a wireless controller instead of being hardwired. Are you guys wireless when you're running your trains, or are you hardwired? And if you've tried both, let me know what you like more. Do you prefer the wireless, or do you prefer to be hardwired in? I've got the option for both here. And if I'm doing some like local switching, I don't mind to be hardwired in because I'm not really going anywhere. But if I'm following a train around, I will go wireless. Or if I'm filming, I will go wireless. At the club, I hardwire to multiple places right around the whole layout. So I'll plug in, I'll do something, speed up, slow down, disconnect, follow the train around, and I keep going. I can go wireless, but I like using my controller instead. All right, Steve, you have yourself a good one. And here we got both NCE wireless, love it. Currently wired, but will add wireless. Wireless preferred. So it looks like wireless is becoming more and more popular. I use an old lens system, so I plug and can move from plug to plug around the layout. Someday I will get a Iowa scaled engineering controller because it's way too cool. I like operating a real thing. Yeah, I added an LNWI, which is basically just the option for a wireless connection. But I do it for all my friends that come over because not all of them have Digitracks. I have Digitracks. All my friends from Southern Ontario there, for some weird reason, use NCE. So if they ever came over, they wouldn't be able to use their NCE controllers. So I always make sure to have my LNWI connected. That way they can pull up any rail with their phone or tablet. Chris, you ever think about moving Go Transit buses to your layout? I do have buses. I would love to have like the moving bus system or car system. That would be amazing. But I don't think my layout is big enough for something like that. I would need so much extra space. Please look into DCCAR if you want trucks and cars moving on the roads. I really like the idea of it. I really do. I like my buses. I've got a whole bunch of buses, and most of them just sit there. And I'm okay with that to an extent. But the fact that you're paying like 50, 75, sometimes almost $100 for some of these buses, and it's like they don't do anything. They just sit there. I'd like them to do more. Anthony's saying he'll be using a computer to run his passenger service. He has NCE running freight service and proto throttles for your yards and local CTI software. Yeah, see, I've been on the fence about a proto throttle for a little bit now. Like Mike was showing off the proto throttle, and I'm like, it's cool, but is it $700 cool? You know what I mean? It's like so much for the throttle, and it's like I already got throttles. Am I paying for the experience? Like, you know what I mean? It's such a tough call. There's a gentleman on YouTube named Oscar Temeo who takes HO scale vehicles and turns them into powered radio controlled models. Huh. Yeah, it's just one of those things, right? Like $700 for a controller or 2 DCC sound locomotives. I would probably prefer the 2 DCC sound locomotives. We all got a list. Oh, we all got a list. So and then depending on what happens Christmas Day when Rapido makes their announcement, which I'm very eager to hear, and I cannot wait because I look forward to it every year, like a weirdo. But that list might get a little bit longer once they make an announcement. I don't know what it is, but hopefully it's a good one. Sorry I'm late. I went shopping for a I finally beat Brian shirt. Wah, wah. Mark, you missed all the questions. We were asking a million questions. And I was learning about, well, I already know about you. You're all right. We were talking about how we have to have an intervention for you because you just have way too many forklifts. So, yeah, get ready for that. Just remember, It's because we care. See what I mean? How about like how tedious it is? At least when I go back with the darker color, I don't do as many dark spots as I do these. So it's more of a quicker job with something like that. But I try to fill out as much as I can small brick wise with this color. This is the burnt sienna. Looks bright when it goes on, but then it dries darker or duller. Almost looks like a gray. Speaking of Thursday, this Thursday you can catch M Rails live on his channel because why would he be on? Yeah, you can check him out. Third Rail Thursday. Right after Monday, which is James and Mike for Off the Rails Monday, 7 o'clock. I'm pretty sure we're on James's channel this Monday. No worries, no worries. I already did the promo thing, but yeah, don't mind doing it again. I think it's in the contract somewhere where I got to do it at least twice or thrice throughout the live. Now, I do have one more show left. I think it's next Saturday. I'm just checking my calendar here. Yeah, the 21st. So next Saturday, I will do a Rail Talk live, but it'll be my last one for the year. So I won't be back on the 28th. So I'm just missing 1 week, really. Just because I normally tell the guys, when you hit Christmas time, if you do a show like after Christmas, you don't have to. Mark sometimes does a show either just before or just after Christmas Day, something like that. And there's no GVO after dark this month. None of that. If they want to do a show, that's cool. But I always say, take the holidays off. They don't get holiday pay; they just get the time off. So. Normally Mark requests all green M&Ms this time of year, and it's just like, it's not even in the budget, So, but Mark with his demands. Slowly making my way across this thing. I think the most painful part will probably be the front because it's like weird. But thank goodness I only got to do this side and this side. The other two sides are against a wall, so I kind of get out of doing two sides of this thing until, I need to go back and do it for whatever reason. But I think in the future, it'll just be one of those things where I'll just use what I've got. Camera keeps getting in my way here. It's my elbow room, but I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing at the same time, even though I'm pretty sure you can't anyways. I think I asked you guys all the good questions because I can't think of anything anymore. No, I actually had a chance to do some work on the yard. I got more lights up. I don't know if you guys had seen my third rail Thursday, but I was adding lights this past Thursday to my yard just to kind of give me a bit more light. I was able to add more lighting. So now basically half of my yard is fully lit up, which is great. And just need to get some track and switches and some cork, mostly track and switches. and then I can start building the yard on the bottom level. And I'll obviously film that as I go because people like to watch. Do you have feedback system on my layout? Not really, no. There's a system called MagnaRail that you can use your regular cars, and it does not require a lot of space and is not expensive. Check it out. Yeah, I have seen MagnaRail. Uh, I know I've mentioned it in the past, but in case you might have missed me saying it, go check out CSX Mad. He did a thing with MagnaRail where he's got a car facility, and cars come out of the facility on the MagnaRail thing, and they go up the ramp and they load into auto racks, and then it somehow disappears and then ends up back in the factory. So they keep coming out and doing a circle like around and through, and then they just go into the auto rack. It looks so cool. It's stuff like that when I see it, I'm like, I become so inspired. But yeah, CSX Mad, very cool. And he also did like a massive ore dock as well. Oof. I love seeing stuff like that. So cool. Robert, he lives in Australia. Yeah, across the pond, as they say. I don't know who they are, but I know I've heard that before. It's a real saying. Is any tested Weisman car motion? No, I haven't heard of that one. I've heard of the other one, the MagnaRail, but that's the only car system that I've personally heard of or seen videos on. I will have to do something cool though, because if Rapido is putting out that TTC streetcar and it has sound and all that, probably going to have to do like a little bit of a city scene with you know, a TTC rolling through or something. Maybe just put it on a loop. But that's easy, right? Just track, power, and away you go, right? Still, that'll be ridiculous. Yeah, just the sheer concept of, you know, the cars coming out of the facility and then going into the auto rack is just, that's beyond my thought process. I'm like, how's this happening? You know, like I know how it's happening, but like from paper to, you know, the real thing, right? Like getting it done and making it all come to a reality, you know. Your show has developed into something cool. That expression, watching paint dry. Here we have other people tuning in to watch your paint dry. Um, yeah, hopefully it's not too boring. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same reason why I don't really watch sports. And it's not that I don't like sports, but I prefer playing the sports over watching the sports, if that makes sense. Mind you, I'm a terrible ice skater. And last time I played baseball, kind of hit the pitcher with the ball when I hit the bat. So, or when I was using the bat. So, sports hasn't really been my big thing. So, watching sports versus playing sports, I'd much sooner be doing it than watching it. But with hobby stuff like this, I mean, I don't mind talking about it while I'm doing it, and I like sharing. So if you learn something, that's cool. Or if you just like chatting and hanging out, that's also cool. We're all like-minded individuals. So Willow Creek, how's it going? Your show kind of reminds me of that old TV show, The Red Fisher Show. It had a section called Scuttlebutt Lodge, reliving some of Red's fishing trips around an old wood stove is the feeling. Well, if it's one of those things where you're watching and you enjoy what you're watching, then nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I believe it's Red Green, unless it's an American show and it was like a rip off of Red Green. That I'm not too sure of. Scuttlebutt Workshop. Oh gosh. Now I guess this is gonna be a thing, huh? Scuttlebutt. Did they literally call it that? I mean, like, I don't like doing the whole you know, thing where it's copyright or anything like that. I don't want to create a copyright infringement. Oh, so it was a parody. See, that makes sense. Possum Watch. See, I never watched Red Green. I know. Shame on me. Couldn't get into it. I tried a couple of times, but mind you, it took me like I don't know how many years later to watch The Office, and it turned out that was really good. The Office was really good. So Anthony's asking if my layout is based off of rail fanning or operation or both. Well, when you create signature scenes, and I learned that from Mike H.O. Trains, when you create these small scenes that are highly detailed, and then you do either operations or you just even take a picture when the train's passing through, which I did with my old layout quite frequently, it becomes a bit of both. I like rail fanning my layout, even though it sounds weird, but I like doing that because it really allows you to see a different side of your layout. You take the pictures and whatnot, and you can see a different perspective of the work that you've put into it. And I try to do somewhat of a realistic photo sometimes. I'm not saying it is realistic. I say I try to make it look realistic. Might not look realistic, but I try. So that's why I try to do some of these more detailed things now, because I want to have more signature scenes. I want it to look really cool when the train's going through, and I want to create almost like a story and whatnot. Kids in the hall. So right now I'm just creating a wash. This will be my last step for this, just for now. Oh, wait, am I using this one? Yeah, I'll use this one. Hey, Nelson, how's it going? John 2618, hello, hello. Mark. Thanks, John. I know it's really hard to see, but if I turn it this way a little bit, maybe go a little bit closer, you can see that although there's a whole bunch of little spots, and it's because I painted individual bricks, kind of like what I did down here. I'm just continuing it throughout. And this is the Walters paper mill. And I'm just doing a little bit of a wash here on the brick. And I'm doing it in the same color that I've already applied. Sorry, I had to step away. Were you on the gram? Are you on Instagram there, Mark? John says, yeah, the brickwork totally worth the effort. I'd like to think so. You know, when you're doing it, you're like I'm complaining on the inside right now, just because it is a lot. There's a lot going on here with this. You know, uh, would I choose to do this on a big brick building again? Eh, I mean, I would hate to do all four sides of it. That's for sure. But because I only have to do two sides, it's not as bad, I think. Okay. So I did the wash on there. That'll take, you know, a little bit to dry. It's not really a big deal. It'll do its thing. The other thing that it's 10:03. Oh, nothing has to go. Christmas gathering tonight. Good luck. Let us be the critics. Sounds good. Yeah, I'll definitely show you guys as I go or when I'm done and whatnot. And let me know how well this worked out because honestly, it's so hard to tell. I I will always be my own worst critic, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way about their own work. Unless you have like super confidence, then all the more to you. Me, not so much. Um, okay, so doing this one piece at a time. So I've got all these little pieces to do. Typically, what I would do is I would put the plaster stuff on top, but with this here, I can do it without it. And also, they're very small, and it's very tedious, and I don't really want to because it's small and tedious. So I'm going to do it this way and hope for the best. Brush. Great job, Chris. Good night to all. All right, Ronald, you have yourself a great night. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, we'll be back next week, and I'll do one final show before we end things just before Christmas. So we got some more of this sidewalk stuff here. And I just put it on a little push pin so I can hold it. And I don't necessarily put the paint on thick, but it absorbs really well into the cork. Especially if you put enough of it on here. And you can't really tell it's cork once it's painted. And the other day when I was painting these ones here, I totally went like this with my brush, and you can kind of see a little bit of gray there, but that's okay because happy accident, it looks like mortar. So that happened. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to do mortar on the whole thing, but I want to finish all the painting first, make sure that's completely done, and then I'll come back and do mortar, like actual mortar on it. Do your friends like your trains? That doesn't count as a question. Is this a trick question? Mark's still waiting for his friendship bracelet from me, but it's like, I don't know, man. Where's my friendship bracelet then, Mark? When will it be my turn? Hey, Sparky, how's it going? Chris, you're quitting your job and doing builds for people. This one is looking wow, so wow. No, just myself. And I wish I could do it full time. I would do that. I would do this for 8 hours. You know, um, I wouldn't mind. I could totally get on board with that. Unintended. Also, thank you for the kind words. That's probably going to be how I spend my retirement, building kits. That or James and I will just go bucket hat shopping together. almost done. Now, see, if I had done these first, they would have been dry by now and I could have glued them on, but instead I decided to get right into the brickwork. So I guess you can say I didn't really think that one through. That's okay. It's the weekend and my brain is turned off, so not too much matters. Where is my water dish? I think this was my water dish, but the water is gone. That's cool. You have to build a mini community to keep the interests, do more than run trains. Like Vic Smith City Edge layout. Do you agree? I don't know who Smith City Edge is, but I'm going to take your word for it because, I mean, technically, you're right. There's lots of aspects to the hobby. And at times like this where I can't enjoy the hobby because I don't have a layout to run trains on, well, I have a layout, it's just not built yet. I can still enjoy it in other ways, and that's, working on kits, building kits, doing live sharing things, stuff like that. Because this is all in preparation for the layout anyways. So technically it's layout work, but I'm not going to call it that. I gotta turn that light down. Hang on. There we go. Not as in your face bright now. Okay, well, that was fun. Again, I didn't get too much done because it takes forever to do this darn work, but I'll keep chipping away. Especially with the holidays coming up, I can work on things like that during my shift because I get less and less calls. And I'm excited that Sparky's doing a Christmas show on December 25th because I'm working at 7 a.m. till 2 in the afternoon. So I'm going to need something to watch while I'm not taking any calls because who's going to call me Christmas Day asking for help? And also he does give away prizes as well. And it's good to talk with everybody and, share that Yuletide something. I don't know what that is, but, Yuletide cheer. Probably, I think it might be Yuletide cheer. Trackside Mike, his layout is awesome in a small space. Oh, you guys are talking about Vic Smith. Bucket hats and friendship bracelets. That's right. The funny thing? Oh, yeah, I already showed you. Because there's some Go Transit ones on the Go Transit website. Or the Metrolinx website. That's funny. Okay, well, I think that's it for tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Don't forget, I'm pretty sure it's James that's live Monday night. So Monday at 7, Off the Tracks, Monday. And then on Thursday, it will be M&M Rails for Trackside Thursday. Third Rail Thursday. Wow, all these shows. And then I'll be back next week to do the last one in December because I got to retire for the year, and then we'll see everybody next year. And we'll just give you the rundown of shows for January in case you're wondering. But I'll do that next week. And just one more thing I wanted to check. One more check. Okay, yeah, and then yeah, James and Mike are doing a show on the 23rd as well. So, and I think I'm off that day. So that'll be fun too. All right. I just wanted to double check that. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we'll see you next week, and thanks again for watching. I'm go here, go home, and I have a train to catch. So hopefully that train has a sleeper attached because I am tired. Scuttlebutt. Never gonna live that one down. That better not catch on, I swear. That'll be the end of me. All right, have a good night, guys.